Marineking's favor.
I want to ask you a little bit about the killing of the third and then the doom drop that he tried to transition to from there. Do you feel like if Hart was in a better position when that actually took place to maybe snipe one or two of those medevacs, that would have put him in a winning posture?
Yeah, I mean it's a hard thing to do because if the Marines are already there, then you're not going to drop. You're not going to get close enough to lose the medevacs.
Right.
But if the Marines are too far away, then you drop and you've unloaded so much that they're not able to do something. So there's this window where you have to show your opponent weakness, have him attempt the drop, and then you need to rush that position with everything you've got and clean it up. And it's a very hard call to make when you don't have vision. You don't know the timings of what your opponent's doing.
All right. Okay. Well, we're on Metropolis now, and let's introduce our red Terran over here on the east side of the map. From Prime, it is Marineking, and over on the west side as the blue Terran, Complexity Hart, who is now down 1 game. That means that his current overall game score is now 9-10. Still able to bring it back in 2 potential games. Will we see some more aggression? And it's actually interesting because Grubby and I were talking about, it seems like every single game that Complexity Hart has gone into that wasn't a TVT was starting off like versus Protoss in a 1-1-1, went with a kind of heavy bio play in game 2, and then played almost a totally straight up what you would expect standard macro game in game 3, and it's almost been his MO throughout this competition. But to me, it just shows that he can play a very diverse and wide range of styles.
Yeah, and I think sometimes you do that, you just kind of have it planned out, you're just going to do it no matter what. Sometimes you do it based on what you feel is going well, what you feel like your opponent is weak against, just based on little decisions that they're making or not making here and there. Okay. And both players going for a gas, so Metropolis, this is a Terran favored map, so we'll definitely see that come into play in this matchup.
What do you think about their spawn positions here? I mean, cross spawn, anything from a Terran versus Terran standpoint that can give one player an advantage, or maybe some ways to actually get an advantage. We talk a lot about sort of the open space that's over here. Great for things like for drops, medevacs, etc. But any nuances about this particular map in a TVT setup?
I mean, probably the most interesting thing is there's actually 4 ways you can go through the center of this map. There's the 2 watchtowers, and then there's the 2 places by the mineral patches. And the watchtowers pretty much cover the vision up until the mineral patch, but not completely. And so controlling the watchtowers is really going to be key for maintaining map control. And kind of like how we saw them maneuvering back and forth with that back area on Entombed Valley, you're going to see something similar like that if they get into more of a stagnant position in the middle. Both players, one's going to try and go around the south watchtower, one's going to try and go around the north watchtower.
Sure. Okay. And that, again, that also plays a little bit into sort of what we were talking about Hart earlier, really being really being aware of those types of things. We're going to have a quick factory coming out here for Hart, and the exact same thing over on Marineking's side. Now, the Marineking actually opening up this time with a Reaper, and I think as a result, he actually denied that scout completely. Let me just double check the vision over here. And no, he did go in. He did see the tech lab on the racks.
Yep.
So he's at least got a good idea on what potentially could be happening. Now with the several Marines out as well, he's going to throw a reactor on that racks and starport as well. So he might be choosing to go Banshee.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Hart, I would be thinking that my opponent is going Reaper Tech, just because that SCV scout, that second one, I'm pretty sure that the command center you would expect it to be down by now. Marineking's getting Reaper speed. So we're going to see some Reaper Heli and medevac play from Marineking.
Interesting.
And meanwhile, from Hart, he is getting that tech lab, so expect to see some Banshees here. And Cloak Banshee in this situation is actually really strong for Hart. Marineking's not going to have any anti-air besides basically the first Viking that comes out. But if Marineking drops, basically what you do here is you load up 3 or 4 Hellions, and then you're going to jump your Reapers into the main. That's usually how it's done. And then drop those Hellions at the same time. And if Marineking can get that off, before these Banshees are really out and able to do much, it's going to be very hard for Hart.
Now, was that telling it all, that little battle right there? Because Hart did see multiple Reapers. He saw the Hellions as well. Like, do you think he's well aware of exactly what's going on right now?
This build has been around long enough. He knows you don't make Reapers and Hellions unless you're teching. What he doesn't know of is if it's a medevac or a Banshee follow-up. Sometimes people will do this. They'll get a medevac, then they'll get cloak. We do see Hart actually not getting cloak, and he's going to get a Raven. So I think he's probably more expecting a Banshee follow-up. And here we do have the Banshee is out. This is not going to go well for Marineking.
Yeah, this does not look like it is going to go well at all.
The best he can hope for here is to avoid taking casualties from that Banshee. He's just going to fall back. And notice the command center is going down at Marineking's base. He's going to start to transition into units that aren't Reapers, Hellions, and hopefully soon, because he's going to have a very hard time holding off a tank-heavy push with that unit composition.
Yeah, very, very difficult time. We do already have first tank out. There is the Raven as well, a handful of Marines. And honestly, this Banshee has just been a lifesaver, not allowing the Reapers or the medevac to make their way in and essentially do any damage at all. The one Viking is out now, but this composition, I'm not sure that it can actually go toe-to-toe here with what we've got over here. Really the only difference now is the fact that we do have the extra CC up for Marineking, but I just don't know that he's got the units. And
here we go.
See it move forward.
This is actually really bad for Hart. If he doesn't see this, everything in his main, all of those SCVs will die very, very quickly. And he should... I don't like a base trade situation in this position. Basically, Marineking's units will deal so much damage so quickly. Hart's main is going to get cleared out very easily. So pretty much what he needs to do here is, if he can kill some units, that's great, but he's probably not going to be able to kill too much. Once he pays a little bit of attention here, the medevacs plus the Hellions, all the SCVs are gone now, and so Hart really needs to just clean this up, not take any losses at all if possible. And actually, if he had... Oh, there's the Banshee now. The Banshee's going to do a good job of cleaning this up, at least force some of the units to go into the medevac. Maybe if he can keep that tank alive, that would be useful too. Meanwhile, he really wants to kill this command center.
Yeah.
In a base trade situation... Oh, and the Banshee gets out. That's going to be a... Oh, no.
Oh.
The Banshee does go down. The Banshee could have been a big problem for Hart, depending on what else he has. So in a base trade situation, you really want to be focusing on the orbital commands. If you can keep your opponent from ever getting a mining base again, then you've pretty much got the game, as long as you yourself are able to mine. So right now, Hart wants to keep that Banshee alive. He wants to kill this orbital if possible. In Marineking, we do see him going to the island. He may land that and then drop some mules to repair. But Hart really, really wants to kill those orbitals. If he can do that, he'll basically have a totally winning position. Let's go to the units tab.
Yeah.
And we can compare armies. So it's basically like 4 Hellions versus 11 Marines and 2 tanks. Hart has the vastly superior army, but he has the much less mobile one. So if he can establish a mining base, he should be able to take this without too much trouble. And we do see, I don't know why he dropped those mules. Oh, nice. He drops an auto turret, actually, to prevent that base from getting going just from mules alone.
Yeah, and that's actually going to turn out quite nicely. Now, do we have, we still have the one, okay, we do still have the one Viking out for both of these players. I believe we still have a Viking for Hart somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's with his army now.
Okay, yep, there it is.
He really wants to... Key units here, the Ravens, are extremely important just because they have energy, so they're kind of a constant supply of new units and attacking power. They're also Hart's only way to threaten an island.
Right.
So now that he's lost those air units, Marineking actually has no threats if he wants to take his base to the island.
Oh my god.
At the same time, if Marineking can make one Banshee, the game will probably swing in his favor. But it's really tough to say at this point. Hart definitely has a superior army. Both players still have enough supply depots so they can just start building SCVs immediately. Oh, and he actually has 3 SCVs.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. If he can get those to go back and start mining, he's going to have, I mean, infinite times the economy that Marineking does. 3 SCVs to 0. Marineking has made his first SCV, and he's repairing the orbital now.
Yep, so he's going to be able to protect that at least for a little bit. However, it looks like Hart is going to get well established here, dropping even more mules with that extra energy that he's got. Marineking does have fewer supply depots, and I don't think he's going to be able to do any sort of initial kill. So honestly, this might be... Oh, nice.
Oh,
Banshee
very nice
did get
move
out.
with the Hellion.
Excuse me, Hellion, yes.
That's a great move here. Anything you can do, even just killing 1 SCV, you're basically cutting your opponent's economy in a third.
Uh-oh.
And yeah, you do see the starport is going to land, and this is one of those weird situations. Where did the Hellion... Oh, the Hellion did retreat. And actually, I think what he's going to do is take his whole army. I'm not sure if I agree with that. Maybe leave 1 tank back home, because you don't want these Vikings to get dropped, but Marineking really doesn't have a whole lot here. If he can get in that base and either force a liftoff, kill all those SCVs, or even just if he can kill that starport, that would be huge.
Yeah.
If the starport goes down, the game is basically over for Marineking. If he does get that Banshee out, then all of a sudden Hart is going to have a much harder time dealing with this army. And we do see both players realizing the focus of this game is really on that starport. Does not able to get it out in time, and now the Banshee is going to be able to clean up. But notice the siege tank on the low ground has actually been attacking the orbital command. If Marineking's not careful, the orbital will actually fall. Hart notices it, then finally Marineking notices it. And now, even though Marineking cleaned up this attack, Hart's economy is so much stronger right now.
Yeah, it's 10 supply to 22 supply right now. More mules being dropped. There's certainly more SCVs. And now the question is with these Banshees out, are there enough Marines to deal with this?
Yeah.
He's going to be able to 1-2 as he just shoots them back and forth. There's only 1 Marine out. He's trying to get a Viking out as quickly as he can. And another Marine comes and joins the party. I think as soon as that Viking gets out, he should be in good shape.
Yep, he's going to get that. Okay, and now he can pull some SCVs. There we go. Repair on the Viking. And really, he just, yep.
GG.
That's a very nice play from Hart.
That was, I've seen some unique games today. That was another one. And, I mean, how really effective, or what would Hart need to be doing for that Reaper Hellion Open to actually work and not just turn into a spiral of horrible events like what we just saw transpire there?
Usually what you want to do is you catch your opponent leaving his base, you jump in, you kill, basically you kill all of his SCVs, and you kind of saw that moment where it was basically all dying, and then you just go home. And you just have to stabilize that position back home, and you're going to have a huge economic advantage. And that's kind of why